There's two extremes here in our country. And when I met you, I was on this extreme. Being a spy is the coolest thing ever. My dad brainwashed me with James Bond. He named me Sean because of Sean Connery. And so
it is the coolest thing.
It's cool. It's sensational. You're serving our country. I think it's my age because I was born in '82. So the Cold War, that was just constantly pounded into us. Or it's immoral and we should eliminate the CIA. So you wrote Fair Play, which is a great book. Why was that book important? Why do we need spies or former spies talking about ethics and morality and can you lie and when you can lie? Shouldn't they just say, no, I'm a liar. I'm going to lie my whole life and I'm going to serve my country. Why did you think in your position you should have written a book like that?
I wrote Fair Play because I felt that I had an obligation to do that. I think about the morality of the life that I led a lot. And I had to struggle with that kind of rationalization that all of us spies have to make up front. If you go into this business, you have to say, all right, I am a man of faith. My Catholic faith is very, very important to me. It's the center of my life. But I'm going to do things that I would not ordinarily do. I'm going to lie. We lied every day of our lives, including to our parents, to our children. I'm going to steal. I'm going to steal their secrets every chance I get. And if I can't do it myself, I'm going to direct my agents to do the stealing for me. I'm going to manipulate. I'm going to coerce. I'm going to do some things that in the abstract are very immoral. But I rationalized that I was doing those things for a greater good. Our country must have intelligence. I can't even imagine where our country would be without intelligence. Intelligence is essential to the safety of the American people. We're the front lines. We are the early warning system. Intelligence has thwarted countless attacks against America. We're keeping our country safe. It's very important that we do that. So we need intelligence. I think that's a given. And how do you get intelligence? By deception, by manipulation, by coercion, by stealing, by lying. So Meredith and I both felt that we were not violating our moral principles. What we did was consistent with our faith. We thought that by dedicating our lives to protect the American people, we were doing a good thing, particularly since the enemy was communism, atheistic communism. So that was the rationalization we made.
So it was religious for you.
Spying is biblical.
Yeah, Joshua, and you mentioned that in Fair Play. I really can't emphasize that book enough. It's Fair Play, The Moral Dilemmas of Spying. But in it, Jim breaks down the different views, philosophies, St. Augustine, St. Thomas Aquinas, John Paul II, Cicero. Certainly you got into Scripture. But then he gives you scenarios similar scenarios to what he encountered. Because you wanted to put people...
Very similar.
Very similar. Yeah. Don't be knocking on Tom Clancy. Your book is like blacked out. Half the thing. That makes it even more readable. You try to look through the black lines that the CIA put over some of those chapters, and I know I looked and I'm like, I think they did a good job. I can't see what he's writing.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't take out more. But they encouraged the book, Sean, because I think it's healthy, and they recognize that we have this discussion, we have this dialogue. Yeah. The bottom line is, what kind of country are we going to be? What do we stand for? You know, it's very tempting to say our adversaries, particularly terrorists, have absolutely no morality. Their only objective is to kill as many Americans as they can, wherever they can find us. So the temptation is to justify striking back in the same way. But we can't do that because we're different. At what point, if we did that, would we violate the values that we're fighting so hard to defend? At what point do we become them? Yeah. So we can't do that. But at the same point, same token, we can't lose. We can't be defeated by these evil forces. because our American way of life would never be the same again. And so we've got to fight tough. We can't go out there like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts with our hands tied behind our back and expect to prevail over these adversaries that we have against terrorists, narcotics traffickers, foreign intelligence services, Iran, North Korea. So we've got to play hardball. Mm-hmm. But the question that I raised in the book is, all right, how far is too far?
Yeah.
How hard is too hard? And that's not easy.
And I don't know, there's not a book like yours.
No.
Not with somebody your background. It would be theoretical, probably.
Yeah, this is not theoretical because, as you recall, after each of these 50 scenarios where I put you in an operational situation, real life, I ask you, would you find this operation morally acceptable or morally unacceptable? And a lot of people respond. I solicit their views, and they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. And if somebody's watching this and they see you saying, we got to play hardball, which we do, they'll be surprised at what we won't do. Because I think a lot of those scenarios, I'm like, well, you got to kill that guy. And, and the answer is no. And so that says something about me.
But how about killing Osama bin Laden?
Exactly. Bin Laden, I think the most powerful scenario is, I forget who it was, I think an informant, and he had critical information, and he requested a child, and we did not do that. And you threatened to resign, if I remember, if the CIA didn't do it.
You wanted a child prostitute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really encourage the book. I think also, I think any book that analyzes a way of life morally is worth reading because we can apply it to our own lives. How do we make decisions? What goes into it? We're very rash. We're very cynical these days. We don't think. We don't have these conversations. And whether somebody says, oh, yeah, the CIA should be able to do whatever they want, don't ask, don't tell, or get rid of the CIA, which just sounds nice, and what a nice budget cut and all of that, and then somebody nukes Miami, and we're all up in arms, and we have a GoFundMe. So
we did some things that were pretty tough, but we don't have any reservations. There was only one case that I can recall where I had religious scruples, moral scruples about what I was being asked to do.
Okay.
But in a whole career of 31 years, that's not very many. One instance.
It's good.
And that was when one of my Russian agents asked us to give him an L, a lethal device, because his great fear is that he would be captured by the KGB and would be tortured and would be forced to give up all the information he'd given to us, which would negate some of its value. He knew what his fate would be if he got caught. He didn't want to have that fate. He wanted us to give him the opportunity to commit suicide.
What is it, like a pill?
It can be something like a pill. It can be this part of your glasses.
Okay.
Where you have an L, a lethal device in there.
Okay.
And if they're coming, you can bite it off.
Okay.
And death is instantaneous. And we've lost some people that way. So
is that optional for spies?
They can request it.
They can request it.
Right.
So somebody, he requested it of you.
And I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, we both are strong believers in the sanctity of human life. And for me, if I had complied, that would have been tantamount to facilitating a suicide.
Yeah, euthanasia. Yeah.
Yes. And I couldn't do that in good faith.